how has the Me Too movement? How did the gymnastics scandal? How did that show you that now was the time that was right to tell your own story? And has it stayed the right time?
Yes, absolutely. You know, I've had a great career and started riding when I was 4, and listening to you gals, the horses were my saviors. The horses were my therapy throughout my growing up. And yes, I was abused when I was 11 by a very, very, very famous horseman. He was godlike. And, but I held it in for many, many, many years. It wasn't until I started therapy, I'd already been to an Olympics or maybe even 2 Olympics, but I started into therapy. And through that, with a psychotherapist in Philadelphia, and I drive once a week. Nobody knew I really was going, you know, nobody in the horse world really knew. But until finally it came to this part about sharing it with my sister, starting to share it with people. That was part of therapy, to talk about it, you know, say it out loud to other people. And in my late 20s or something. And so I share it with my sister. Oh my God, he got hurt too. And of course we never knew. And that's what made me crazy. I had lived with it. I had dealt with it. Then it was really like, oh my God, I've got to do something about this. So, but this was, or maybe it was early 90s. And my sister has passed a few years ago from cancer, which is too bad, but we all dealt with all of this before the Me Too movement came out. But it was then I shared it with some other people. And so at the time, we came forward, several of us girls from the riding club, that this Jimmy Williams had abused. But statute of limitations, we couldn't do anything. You know, we met with the lawyers. We tried to do everything. We started talking to people about it. And I was already on the East Coast and competing. And as I said, going to the Olympics and had my own career there on the East Coast. And so then it was sort of not time. Okay, we can't really do anything about it. Good, I shared it. That was great for therapy. I even confronted him, and I did get an apology. I have to say that doesn't happen to many people. It was wild. But anyway, I'm so thankful for that, and with my therapist. And anybody in a little trouble, or I can't recommend therapy enough. But anyway, to have somebody, professionals, to talk through with this. But again, my horses were that's what I love doing. The horses were my savior. And if anything, I dove into that. Whereas I know a lot of them, my sister included, drugs, alcohol, other things they got involved with. And so I'm so thankful that I went on to have a great career. And as you talk about getting to go to the Olympics and do these things that I can share now with younger kids and even older gals now that have told me their story, that have never told their story before since I've come forward. But anyway, so then, okay, I'm okay with it. Lots of therapy, spiritual help. I mean, I did a lot of different things, and I was cool with it, and forgiveness and all of it. But then a couple of years ago, when the Hollywood and these gymnasts all of a sudden started talking about it, I thought there was this little voice inside of me saying, I got to do something. And so I went to the federation, the US Equestrian Federation, and Diane Langer, who's our youth coach. And I said, have anybody in the horse sport been talking about this? Well, then Diane shares her story. It's out public also, but yes, she had been abused by somebody else. So we got together and I really said, you know, let's do something to save the kids. You know, I love my sport. I love the horses. There's nothing I love more than horses, and all they've done for me. And sitting in the stalls, being a little kid, crying or talking about whatever was going on, the abuse, lots of alcoholism around at the time, all these things that, you know, were hanging around. The horses, thank God for the horses. Oh my God. And as you talked about, Pat, what the different ones deal with them, you know, the different, anyway, that's a whole nother thing I could go into, but they were so amazing. They were my therapy. But from that, speaking up now is the perfect time. And you know, a little pushback from some people in the industry initially. I mean, these are some famous top horsemen that have been sort of falling down, you know, being, you know, but it's true. And I believe the girls, I believe the boys, there are some boys that have come forward, that it's got to stop. It just can't happen. And it's the same as abusing the horses. I mean, that also, I could go in that direction also about, I've been successful, but never at the the abuse of a horse or anything. My goodness, no, no, no. And again, for me, because they did so much for me. So now is the time. And I've been quite vocal about it and very supportive of other girls going through it. It's such a wonderful sport, and what horses do for girls and boys and growing up, and all that they teach us, all that they give us. And then to have some creep, predator, sex guy, whatever, ruin all of that. And to hear the stories of all the, like I say, I am so thankful. It's not been easy. We all have our stuff. It's been a hard journey. And even coming forward, as I say, that some people, they don't talk to me at the horse show today, or if I show a hunter in a hunter class, maybe the judge doesn't pin me as well. I mean, I have to say some of that. And I knew that speaking up. Now in the jumper ring, it doesn't make much of a difference. And you go fast and you don't knock them down. That doesn't matter. But those were choices I made, but now is the time. We've got to stop it. We've got to speak up. We've got to do everything we can to save the kids. It's such a great sport, and horses are so amazing.